All right, so here we go. So here I've got a negative 2, and I'm going to distribute that times that term and that term. So I've got negative 2 times this first term is x. I can put that right in parentheses if I want to. Plus, I've got negative 2 again times y. Here's the thing too. This is negative 2 times x. This is negative 2 times y. Notice that I can put it in parentheses and it means multiplication, but anytime something touches a letter, you know it's multiplication anyway, so I don't have to have the parentheses. So I can write this either way. If I want to totally simplify it, I write it without parentheses, and it becomes that. The parentheses here are necessary.
Any teachers left in the building, don't forget, tomorrow's Cookie Friday.
Okay, apparently tomorrow's Cookie Friday. Hopefully I don't forget. So, right here, since it's negative 2x plus a negative, those parentheses are right there to separate the plus and the negative sign. Let's take a look at this one right here. 3 times negative 2x minus 5q. Well, I got to distribute this times that. So I'm going to have 3 times, I'll put that in there, negative 2x minus, there's that minus sign. Got 3 again times 5q. Now I can simplify this. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Still have the x, don't forget that. Make sure you know how we went from that to that. Still have the minus. 3 times 5q. 3 times 5 is 15. And the q's right there. Alright, so the next example that I want you to take a look at is if we have a fraction. And usually when you have a fraction here, they'll cancel out. Show you what I mean. Let's say we had 1/4 times the quantity x minus 8. So, with this one, I've got 1/4 times this minus 1/4 times that. So let's take a look at how this works. First, I have 1/4 times x. Still have my minus sign. And now I've got 1/4 times 8. Now, the 1/4 x and the 1/4 8. Remember, with multiplication, I can write this 2 ways. I guess the easier way, just for you to think about it, is to leave the variable alone and just write 1/4 x like that. Maybe I'll show you a little more advanced way when I get back. Remind me. This right here, if I wanted to multiply this fraction times a whole number, remember I can make that a fraction by putting it over 1. On top I have 8 times 1, which is 8. On bottom I have 4 times 1, which is 4. So now I can still simplify this. 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I can rewrite this as 1/4 x minus 2. So look how we went from that to that. I'll show you another example. One-fifth times z minus, or let's do plus, z plus 10. So I've got 1/5 z, that was my first term, plus 1/5 times 10. Now remember, this 10, I can make it a fraction by putting it over 1. So here I still have 1/5 z plus, here 1 times 10 is 10, 5 times 1 is 5, and 10 divided by 5 is what? 2. So now I've got 1/5 z plus 10 divided by 5, which is 2. Alright, so I'm going to put one here for you to try. 1/3 times q minus 9. Alright, guest teacher, go ahead and pause the video, let the students try this one, and then press play. We'll see how they do. Alrighty, so I've got this times this term and this term. 1/3 times q, well, that's going to be 1/3 q. I still have my minus sign there. 1/3 times 9. So literally you're going to have 1/3 times 9. And remember, we make this a fraction by putting it over 1. Now, 1/3 q minus, so same minus sign. 1 times 9 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. Almost done. 1/3 q minus, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now, hopefully you feel like you have a good handle on that. In your books, what I want you to do is turn to page 377. The very bottom of that page, and you can look at the examples on top, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but on the very bottom of that page, there are letters D through F. I'm sorry, D through G, pardon me. I want you to go ahead and do those 4 problems, work on them, make sure they're right, check your answers with your partner, and guest teacher, go ahead and pause the video. Whenever the students are done with that, press play, and then we're going to go over all those answers. Alrighty, so hopefully we got them all done. Let's see how we did. First we have letter D, and letter D, the problem says 6 times the quantity A plus 4. Notice I'm not just saying 6 times A plus 4, that's different. This whole thing's in parentheses, so I say 6 times the quantity A plus 4. That phrase, the quantity A plus 4, that lets you know that this is grouped together. So this does not equal that. Does not equal that. Nope, nope, nope. So we've got 6 times A, 6A, plus 6 times 4, and 6 times 4 is 24, so we're going to write this as 6A plus 24, and that's it. Let's take a look at letter E. Letter E, we have the quantity M plus 3N times 8. Man, look at how tricky that is. The 8's on the right side. Still do it the same way, it doesn't matter. 8 times that, 8 times that. So, we've got 8 times M plus 8 times 3N. 8 times M, I can't simplify because I don't know what M equals. 8 times 3N, well 8 times 3 is 24, and my N's right there because I don't know what that equals. Let's take a look at letter F. Negative 3 times the quantity y minus 10. Well, I've got negative 3 times y. It's going to be negative 3y minus, it's not a negative sign, that's a subtraction sign, minus, and I've got negative 3 times 10. So, negative 3 times 10, that's going to be negative 30. So I've got negative 3y minus negative 30. Now, if you remember, keep change. Instead of subtracting a negative, we just add the opposite. So this we can rewrite as negative 3y, keep, change. And there we go, nice and simplified. Let's take a look at letter G. We've got 1/2 times the quantity W minus 4. So, we've got 1/2 times W minus 1/2 times 4. So we're going to rewrite this as 1/2 W minus And right here, this 4, I can make this into a fraction by putting it over 1. On top, I have 1 times 4, which is 4. On bottom, 2 times 1, which is 2. And now, I'm still not done, because 4 divided by 2, I can simplify that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Remember, fraction bar means division. So we've got our 1/2 W minus, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. There's our answer right there, boys and girls. So if you're good on this, you should be pretty good for this lesson. Next, I want you to turn to page 378, and I want you to take a look at 1, 2, and 3. So page 378, numbers 1, 2, and 3. And guest teacher, give the students some time to do that, please. And then when they're ready, please press play again, and we'll go over the answers. All right, so here we go. Number 1, we've got 8 plus 11 times -3. Well, this one doesn't have any variables, so the easy way to do this would to say 8 plus 11 is 19, and then 19 times -3 would be -57, but I'm going to do it with distributive property since that's what we were learning. So I'm going to multiply it by that and by that. So I've got -3 times 8 plus -3 times 11. Well, -3 times 8, that's going to be -24. Still got my plus. And -3 times 11, that's going to be -33. And that plus is from there, that plus is from there. 24 negatives and 33 negatives, if you put them all together, you end up with 57 negatives. And that's our answer. Number 2. -5 times the quantity 2x plus 4y. So here, I've got -5 times this and -5 times that. So we get -5 times 2x plus -5 times 4y Now, -5 times 2 is going to be -10, so I have -10x from here, plus -5 times 4 is going to be -20, so I've got -20y. Next, let's take a look at number 3. One-fifth times the quantity g minus 10. So I've got 1/5 times g and times 10, and it's a subtraction problem. So there's 1/5 times g minus 1/5 times 10. How do I make this 10 into a fraction? Put it over 1. So now I've got 1/5 g minus, and on top, 1 times 10 is 10. On bottom, 5 times 1 is 5. And now looking at this, you should hopefully see 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I've got 1/5 g minus 10 divided by 5 is 2. 2. Alright, so what I want you to do now, and this is going to be, what you don't finish is going to be your homework. On page 381, I would like you to do numbers 29 through 31, and then I want you to do 34 through 39. So that's 9 problems. Do your best on it while you're in class. If you want to work or check your answers with one of your partners, that's totally fine. Best of luck, and we'll go over this tomorrow.